Hey guys, welcome to another movie review. Once again, if you saw my Ghostbusters Afterlife review, I apologize that these reviews have just been crazy lately. I really don't get a lot of time off with my job right now. It's just really insanely crazy. But I did finally get around to, as you might have seen in the title of the video, I did get around to seeing one of Ridley Scott's more recent films, House of Gucci. I know he released The Last Duel earlier this year, which I have not seen. But House of Gucci, I did get around to seeing recently. And once again, thank you for those who have been good about grinning and bearing these really late reviews with these films that came out several weeks ago, and now I'm finally getting a chance to sitting down and watching them. But in House of Gucci, it's based on the true story of one of the Gucci family members from the design fashion brand that's really popular and really expensive, and a lot of people really admire the brand and things like that. It's about one of the sons, I would say, of the family who's trying to pursue a career as a lawyer. But while he's pursuing that career, he meets this woman that's played by Lady Gaga, and she meets him at a party, and they start dating, and then they eventually get married. The father of the family does not approve of this. He kind of catches right away that this woman kind of just out there for the money. She's not really in it for the Gucci brand or in it for to support him in his lawyer career and things like that. But he marries her anyway. Things go well for a little while. She gets a little more involved with the Gucci brand than I'm sure he would like to and that the family would like to. But she does get close to kind of the uncle character who's played by Al Pacino. He kind of shows her things and allows her to go to events and allow her to have her opinion on certain things in the Gucci brand while she's married to this guy. And things go well for a little while. There's still a lot of things like under the surface that don't kind of seem right for a while though. And as the film progresses, obviously this guy's marriage with this woman crumbles, and she really wants to stay involved with the Gucci brand. There's certain things that this family will just not let her have that she wants to have, and it really starts to get her angry. She's really upset that the husband won't give her a second chance and allow her to really kind of be the father that she was hoping he was going to be and be the husband she was hoping he was going to be. There's just a lot of things involving him being interested in another woman and him kind of wanting to get out of the Gucci brand while still kind of having a voice in it and still being a part of the family. And so over the course of this film, we find out the eventual sad fate of one of the Gucci family members and how the wife, or I should say the former wife at this point in the story, how she kind of went about um, not getting her way and how she went about trying to get her way and the dark path that she went down as a result of trying to get her way with the Gucci brand. But overall, guys, I thought this film was okay. House of Gucci is a film that I was looking forward to for a while. It's definitely a story where, when I read about it online, I was kind of very intrigued by it. I very vaguely remember one of the death of the Gucci family members when I was really little. I think one of them died in like the mid '90s or something. Very vaguely remember it. I think more than anything, I might have saw like the clip on YouTube from somebody who might have posted it from back in the day. Um, but it's one of those stories where I was just really intrigued by. I was curious to see how it was going to turn into a film. Obviously, Ridley Scott has made some films I really enjoyed over the years, like Alien and Blade Runner and Legend and some other things that he's. Thelma and Louise is another one of his I really like. He's made a lot of films that I've really enjoyed over the years. He's made a couple of bad ones. He's definitely not a perfect director. The Counselor is not a great movie, unfortunately. Um, but I was really curious to see how he was going to take on this story and kind of his version of it and how he was going to fill in the gaps on certain things that maybe there's not clear details on of what was going on behind the scenes when this marriage was taking place and things like that. Um, but overall, like I said, it's okay. There's things about it that I really enjoy. Well, there's things about it that aren't really perfect and things about I think that really could have been improved upon. But overall, for House of Gucci, Lady Gaga's performance I think is really good. She really plays this character pretty perfectly, and really, a lot of people online were criticizing her Italian accent. I think the accent worked pretty good. It was consistent. I understood her character's struggle and her character's desire to have power and things like that. Even if you don't kind of agree with what she's doing throughout the movie, you understand where she's coming from and how she wants to get involved with the Gucci brand and how the Al Pacino uncle has now kind of introduced her to this fashion brand world. And how she really wants to get more and more involved with it the more she knows about it and things like that. So her performance was top notch. I could absolutely see her getting an Oscar for this. Not the movie, but her performance getting an Oscar for this. And then that leads to my next positive point. Jared Leto has a role in this film. He plays the son of the Al Pacino uncle. Once again, he completely changes his appearance. I think he's even a little bit bald on the top of his head. I don't know if he had to gain weight for the role or not, but the prosthetics are very believable. Just a really good performance, kind of a little generic Italian accent a little bit, but for the most part, you do not get the sense that you're watching Jared Leto. You really feel like you're watching this character that he's playing, like he does with a lot of his performances. He just transforms into his characters, it seems like, and once again, he does that here. Very, very good performance. I was just kind of always intrigued by the character throughout the movie. There's a lot of down things and bad things that his character pursues in the movie, but at the same time, you're just so intrigued by this transformation that Jared Leto does that the performance is just extremely good here. So once again, if Lady Gaga gets an Oscar, I could also see maybe Jared Leto getting like a Best Supporting Actor award of some kind too. I also like the film's color palette. There's a lot of gold and silvers and a lot of scenes that really make it look like you're looking at something expensive and of high value. Um, just a lot of scenes that really look like you're part of this Gucci family and everything is kind of expensive and the properties they own are very valuable. So whatever they had to do, whatever kind of sets they had to build, whatever kind of places they had to film at, the color palette, like I said, is very beautiful, a lot of gold and silvers. And if they really had to shoot at some of these expensive places, it really adds to the movie and really adds to the idea that this family is very wealthy and can afford a lot of these big expensive things. So huge thumbs up to that. I like the set design of this movie. I also overall really bought into the main love story of the film, the whole Adam Driver, Lady Gaga thing. I bought into their love story. It's definitely kind of the first half of the film where they pursue that. It's definitely kind of awkward at first and how they get comfortable around each other. But for the most part, I bought it. It was kind of cute. There was a lot of things. There was even a line, I think, from Lady Gaga. It's like, you seem too cute and too nice to be a lawyer. There's just a lot of things that are kind of nice and charming about that first half of them falling in love and them getting involved with Gucci and her kind of pushing and shoving him in like a nice cutesy way to kind of get more involved with the Gucci brand while he's pursuing a lawyer career and things like that. So overall, bond of the love story. It is kind of unfortunate that they kind of completely dropped that in the second half of the movie, but for the first half of the story, they pursue it in a very nice way. And overall, I felt pretty invested in the whole Gucci business. I felt invested in what kind of makes the Gucci brand, what doesn't, what makes for a regular Gucci thing and a bootleg Gucci item, and how some family members kind of just accept it for what it is, while others kind of know exactly what the authenticity of the brand is and what's a fake thing and what's a real thing for Gucci and what's a expensive and a cheaper thing for Gucci. So I just overall felt invested in the business that this family pursued as a family. Overall, for my negatives of this movie, though, unfortunately, this one has an extremely slow pace. It's a very, very slow movie, and it also runs about 2.5 hours, so it's not a short film to get through, unfortunately. It just feels very slow. There's just a lot of scenes that really feel like they could have gone faster than they did. Kind of a slow burn for something that really didn't have much of a slow burn reward to begin with, or like a payoff of some kind. So I thought the pacing of this film was just very slow and really could have been better. I also thought, once again, the runtime was extremely long. I think with a better editor, they could have at least trimmed down at least 25 minutes or so of this movie. There's just a lot of scenes that don't feel like they need to be here. Just a lot of scenes that really don't kind of add to anything or add anything additional to the story. So I thought the runtime could have been trimmed down quite a bit in this movie. I feel like it didn't quite deserve it. Also, that's my next negative point, is the film's just not very eventful. It's one of those films where if you do a lot of research online, you'll probably find a little bit more insight on the real story than what the film provides to you. It's just not very eventful. It's just not, I didn't really learn about a lot of things in the family or new insights or new motivations as to why the film ended the way it did and how this man's life ended the way it did. Um, it's just one of those unfortunate things where I felt like they should have done more research as to, because they even based it off of the book that was based off the real thing. And for me personally, I thought it just didn't quite feel as eventful as it should. And then that leads to my next negative point. There's just not enough insight here of the true story. Some of the things and some of the motivations that I've heard about the real thing would make more sense, and I think would have made an even better film if they just stayed true to the original true story. I would have liked to have seen a story that had more proper insight as to what was going on with the family and really going on with the story in general in real life. And then that leads to my last negative point. There's just a lot of really unlikable characters in this movie. It's one of those things that you have to have a movie where you have to root for somebody. I feel, or at least at least feel intrigued or interested in them. And by the end of the day, and by the end of the film, a lot of these characters are just not likable people. They're either just kind of stuck in their own ways, and they're not very likable, or you don't really feel you want to get to know them very well. Some of them are betrayers and betray the family and sell their shares and have no interest in leaving behind a fortune of any kind for any family members for when they pass away and things like that. Some of them are murderers. Some of them are just bad people and don't care about. They just want to sell the brand and make money, and just they don't really even care about the brand itself for Gucci. So I just thought there was just a lot of unlikable characters here. By the end of the day, there just really wasn't a character I rooted for because all these characters are just kind of bad in their own little way. And I really would have preferred a story where I understood kind of the motivation of the character and things like that, and they don't feel like terrible people as a result. But overall, I'm going to give House of Gucci a 7.5 out of 10. I think it's an okay film. I think if you rent it from Redbox or find it on streaming somewhere in the future, it's not a bad watch. It's not really Scott's worst movie. It's definitely not his best one, though. It's okay. I would say rent this one. House of Gucci is okay. I would give it kind of a middling thumbs up, not a full thumbs up, though. It's okay. It's worth a rental, I think. 7.5 out of 10 for me. House of Gucci is okay. If you really want to see it, I would just say rent this one.